Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface, and Doctor Who appears to have done the impossible because tonight's episode, no there's no punchline, was actually pretty good. I legitimately enjoyed tonight's episode. I think it's the best episode of the series so far. That doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there were a few issues which made me either shrug my shoulders, scratch my head. And the things which pulled the episode down, made the episode worse from what it could be, well, guess what? Yeah, it's not going to take much. The companions, which were extra special useless this week, and the Doctor. And the things which really elevated this week's episode was the plight of the humans trying to escape the Cyberman, although it's a little confusing, I'll go into that in a moment. The fact that they got split up, which added more tension and drama to the episode and allowed a little bit of sci-fi to actually happen for a change when they arrived on the Cyberman troop-carrying vessel. The extra story, which obviously needs some sort of resolution. We kept going what appeared to be back in time to see the story of somebody grow up from a baby through to retirement. But obviously there's weird stuff going on there. And the lone Cyberman is fantastic. I think the actor that plays him is excellent. And I love this dynamic of a Cyberman that not only has emotions, but a Cyberman that has almost a religious affiliation. This ascension that he keeps talking about. He started torturing some Cybermen later on. It looked like maybe removing their emotion inhibitors. I think that could have been possibly it. Something along those lines. But he is playing the role excellently. He comes across as threatening. He comes across as you know, somebody to pay attention to on screen. And so it felt for the first time in a long time that I was actually watching an episode of Doctor Who. And it was just unfortunate because I think if this episode was given to a previous Doctor, any of them, Capaldi, Smith, Tennant, Eccleston, although I really think this would have fit Eccleston more than any of them, I think this would have been really, really good episode. Like right up there as an excellent piece. So, before I go into it, I just need to discuss the whole companion thing and the Doctor thing. And then I'll go into the episode itself. The companions, as I said, were extra special useless. Graham is a caricature. He's not a character. There's nothing to him. He is a Cockney rhyming slang spouting thing, object. Just walks around going, apples and pears, cockles and mussels, Mary Poppins, Lever to Beaver. Whatever. That's all he does. And to me, it's just getting really old. And it's just, meh. Yaz. Fuck me. That's all she does. Piss off, Yaz. You're absolutely shite. And, oh, God. Ryan. He's so forgettable. Ryan didn't even have to be in this episode. There was no reason for him to be in this episode, in as much as he didn't get anything. He got nothing whatsoever. And so they were just, again, I say it all the time, but it's true, surplus to requirements. This is why this set of companions has got to go. Because there is no chemistry, there is no dynamic between them. They are pulling the show down simply by being there. And I'm just not buying Whittaker's Doctor. For the most part, there were very little moments where I could actually stomach her on screen. But for the most part, it felt as if an actor was doing a role as opposed to the Doctor was in a situation, if you understand what I mean. And by that, I felt as if Jodie Whittaker, it was Jodie Whittaker, not the Doctor. It wasn't played as if there was any threat. It was always, ow, 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 light-hearted, ow, 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 quirky. And it didn't work. because of the severe nature of the episode. And I know you can try and balance things if you've got something severe, try and balance it with a little bit of lightness, a little bit of humour, whatever. But it just doesn't work with her. It just comes across as cringe. And so, yeah, I was just thinking, God, if there was an Eccleston there, or a Matt Smith there, or Capaldi. I think Capaldi and Eccleston would have been the better choices. But if they had this story, I think it would have been pretty bueno. So, okay, let's get into it. Because the first part wasn't great, but then it really picked up. So, we get a little bit of a exposition by the lone Cyberman at the beginning. There's a lot of debris in space. It's actually body parts of Cybermen and cyber ships and stuff like that from a battle, and he's talking about how the Cyber Empire fell, but how it can live again. Dooby-doo, dooby-dooby-doo, booby-dooby-doo. Do, Dr. Woke, Dr. Woke, Dr. Woke. So, we start off what appears to be in, 1920s? Maybe 1930s. And chap's riding on his bicycle, and he comes across a wicker basket with a babby. Is it the Endless Child? Who knows? Timeless Child? Who knows? And he takes it back to Waifu, and Waifu's like, can we keep babby? And then policeman takes the details, and then he says, after a couple of years, because it jumps in different periods of time, yes, you can keep babby. So they get to keep the babby for good. And then you see him grown up to a little bit of a child, and you're kind of wondering what's going on, but obviously something weird is going on. Then, Jesus, the Doctor and her companions arrive on future Earth. Yeah, they're still on Earth. Where she tells her companions there and then that this is the end of the cyber war, and virtually every human being has been wiped out. But the good thing is, nearly all the Cybermen have been wiped out, which isn't true at all, but never mind. And so they're like, oh, and they don't seem to give a shit. And this is what annoyed me. When you're just told that your whole race has been driven to the verge of extinction, and they just look at it and go, This, like I said, the beginning part wasn't good. And it's not good because this is not good about Doctor Who right now. This whole thing. And the weird thing is, she says, yeah, there's a human settlement we're coming up to, the last human settlement this side of the universe, and there's 7 people left. They're dead. They're dead. The Cybermen can leave the planet. They're dead. They can't repopulate the Earth. You had 2 females. One who was young enough to bear children. One who was menopausal. Then you had 5 dudes, and 2 of them were brothers. This gene pool would be dead. Not that... So it's just like... Kind of... I was like, why are you trying to save them? I mean, I know... Hero trying to save people. But why are you trying to save 7 people? They're all dead. This whole society's dead. This Earth's dead. The people who've managed to go into space and spread out, they're going to be the remainder of the human race. But you can't repopulate Earth with... Anyway, I don't know. I didn't get why we got there. So we got introduced to some, and they're all like each other, of course. There's no conflict. And then a couple of cyber ships fly above, and then the Doctor just turns up and says, I'm Doctor, don't know what I said. Don't ask me questions. I'm here to do a thing, and I'm going to do a thing. I do a thing. Like I said, it doesn't start off too good. And so she says, you go and save yourselves. You go hide in the buildings, and I'm going to set up my defences with my useless companions, who I've just told a few moments ago that the whole race is dead, apart from you 7 people, and they don't care anyway, so whatever. So yeah, I'm kind of not having a lot of hope at the moment. So they set up a bunch of defences. Dr. Woke obviously just wiggles her sonic. That's all she does. Bzzz. That's Doctor Who now. Don't have intelligent speech, just wiggle your sonic screwdriver. She wiggles and waggles the sonic screwdriver, tells everyone to piss off, and then drones come in and start destroying, and they just destroy all of the defenses really quickly and kill at least one of the humans. They said 7, but I can only recall 6, but I don't know. So maybe 2 of them died. And yes, the cyber drones are floating cyber heads. Okay, whatever. I think it's a bit, never mind. So Doctor failed, and they all go, "Hey, Doctor, our defenses all failed." And she went, "I know." And then another companion would go, "But Doctor, we've got nothing else now. We've run out of things." "I know." "But Doctor, we've gone through every plan that we had." "I know!" Doctor woke. Cosplay Doctor hates her companions. Do you see what is wrong with this, Chibs? Never mind. I know, like, wait a minute, Az, I thought you said you liked this episode. I did, but like I said, it's a rocky start. It's a rocky start, okay? We've just got to get through the rocky start. So she shouts at her companions because she hates them, and then she has a strop, and then she's like, "Oh, well, at least there's only the lone Cyberman, he's back." So you can see that now he's in light of day. You can see the destruction of his armor a bit more, and that he hasn't got another arm. That's quite a Mondasian arm underneath there, but it's not a Mondasian Spider-Man. I'm just saying. And anyway, he's got... No. They got to have a little bit of woke in Dr. Woke. Otherwise, why call it Dr. Woke if you can't have a little bit of woke? He has 2 other Cybermen with him, right? And one of them has got lipstick around the mouth. No, they don't. But they might as well have done. Because now the voice modulators voice modulate for female Cybermen. And so the men are like this. But then it goes to the females and they're like this. Oh, Dr. Woke, you couldn't resist. I'm surprised you didn't put tits. Surprised you didn't put tits on the cyber armor, just so we knew. But I think the lipstick around the mouth would have been a... Chibs, think about it. People will love it, trust me. And so they run and they get split up. Doctor tells her companions not to run to the TARDIS. There's no TARDIS at all in this episode. God knows where it is. Maybe they didn't have the budget for it this week. She just tells them to run. She has no concern about where they're running to or where they're going to go. The Doctor, Cosplay Doctor, Dr. Woke, hates her companions and doesn't give a shit about them. Chibs, are you listening? So, Yaz and Graham get onto the settler's ship, which is barely able to take off, but does. Ryan gets prevented from joining them and ends up back with the Doctor. So we've got 2 companions in one side and the Doctor and another companion on the other side. Splitting them up nice and even. Getting a good cross-section of colours. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, they get onto their ship and they take off. They get shot at, but they get away. The Doctor's like, "Ryan, what are you doing here, Ryan? Ryan, what are you doing?" And then the lone Cyberman comes into a warehouse and a couple of the refugees try and pretend... Well, one of them tries to pretend that there's only one of them, but he's just like, liar, liar. And he shoots through the cover here and kills this guy. But this one lives. And then the Cyberman actually says gives quite an interesting spiel. He's just like, "Should I let you live? Should I let you tell the story of how I let you live and how we decimated the whole world?" And he tells this it's really kind of like sadistic and yeah, it's nice. It was good. So this guy is good. This character is a good character. I like it. I hope they don't kill it off next week. Because it's actually pretty interesting. Pretty interesting character here. So the Doctor comes in. It's just like, "Ah!" and throws a grenade at the Cyberman's feet. It explodes and sends him back into the wall. So the Doctor, Ryan, and this guy escape, and they jump onto one of the Cyberman's spacecraft that flew overhead. So the Doctor then waffles on about, I used to hotwire ships for a living. That's what I used to do when I was a teen, apart from I wasn't a teen, and I don't know what I don't know, she said some crap. New Doctor, new companions, please. God, just, you have a chance of letting this show live. So anyway, the other kid from Earth says, hey, leave it to me, I can do this quicker. So the Doctor's thick now. Jodie Whittaker's Doctor is a thicko. Can be bested by a teenage boy who grew up in a war-torn Cyberman. There you go. Anyway, Ryan, I remember his name, says, hey mate, do you want a hand? Yes, Ryan. Yeah, give us a hand, Ryan. Can you just, sort out this Cyberman ship's mechanics? Ryan? Can you do that, Ryan? You can't even ride a fucking bike, Ryan. Do you want a hand? Do you want a hand? Shut up, Ryan. Right. So the other Cybermen start going towards the ship, and they realise that the ship takes off, and they try to shoot at it, and nothing happens. So we then go back to this time period, and the kid is growing up, and the kid is now, a young man, early 20s. And they take him to, his dad takes him to the local police station to apply for a job as a bobby. And he says, because I want to help, I want to serve. Now, I think this might actually turn out to be the cyber. It's either going to be the Timeless Child, but I think the Timeless Children are the Doctor and the Master. So I think this person might actually be some sort of conscious... Anyway, no, I will get back to it later. So he joins the Bobbies. Anyway, goes back to the other ship, and this woman, the menopausal woman, who can't bear children, she has pushed the engines beyond the limit, and the engines have exploded, so they're just like, bloody hell, what should we do? And then they look outside, and they realise that things are hitting the ship, and they look outside of the ship, and they realise it's just all the bodies of dead Cybermen are hitting the ship. So the kid, these things aren't chambers for producing Cybermen, they're piloting things, so don't worry about people getting assimilated. I mean, we are the Borg, resistance is delete. So he rides the ship for some reason. He has the ability to ride the ship for some reason. Apparently his dad taught him when he was 4. Then the lone Cyberman comes back and starts giving it some bravado, and the Doctor gives some mouth back, saying, you're in conflict, you hate your da-da-da-da-da. And he's just like, yeah, I know. And she's like, oh, I didn't think you're going to respond like that. And he's just like, we know, check the Siberian about me, I'm the Doctor. And he's just like, we're gonna fuck you up. Essentially, that's what he said. And the Doctor got quite worried about it. And this character is great. And I'd rather have an episode about this character than Bloody Doctor. So, then we get to our first weird bit. So, the guy got the job as the policeman. And then he approaches somebody on a cliff edge who's obviously stolen something. And they whip out a gun. And he's just like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. And then he pushes the policeman to the end of the cliff edge and then shoots him. You can see the bullet hole there. Shoots him. He falls off the cliff, plunges down to the bottom, and lives. Survives the fall, doesn't die from the bullet wound. Doesn't appear to be any bullet wound. So, he gets a commendation and he just sort of like, don't worry about it, Mum and Dad. I just got lucky. I got lucky. So clearly something is up with this. Clearly something is up with this person. Also, parents don't seem to be aging. That will come back in a little bit as well. Graham just starts going cockles and muscles. Yaz just starts whinging like a bitch. And then they push the ship. They manage to do a blast on the what remains the engines. And they send it into a big cruiser, this big thing here, which turns out to be the Cyberman troop ship. Trying to keep up. So they land on it. The effects are pretty good. Them landing on it has activated some of the power. They get on the other ship. They're chasing Yaz and that lot and Graham. So they're heading towards the cyber troop ship as well. Then we see Sebaristan. He's such a beautiful man. Sebaristan's here. And they're going to this place. I can't remember his name. But they're going to what they think is a planet. But it's not. It's his name. And then he lets the Doctor and Ryan and the other guy land. And he says, oh, no, I act as... I let people pass to the other side. So we've got to find out what that is. So they're walking around the ship. And Graham just acts like a knob. And Yaz is like, oh, it's great, you're a knob. And he's just like, yeah, we're a couple of absolute pillocks. So that was fun. And then they go into the control room and they start looking around the ship. And then they get into a room and she's just like, you're strange. And he's like, am I? And she's like, yeah, but I like strange. And he's just like, ooh, cockles and muscles. And then they find a bunch of Cybermen. And it's got the old Cyberman heads on. New bodies. Old Cyberman heads. It doesn't quite look right. I mean, if these were bulkier... Like, if these shoulders were bulkier to kind of match the head, it would look better. But this sleek body design with the box head doesn't work. That's why they redesigned it in 2006. So I think they just look a little bit weird. But okay, you know, whatever. So the Cyberman, the lone Cyberman and his male and female Cyberman companions, they board the ship. So the Doctor's just like, where is everyone? He's just like, I told you, I facilitate them. I take them to the other side. They pass over, but I stayed here just in case there were any other humans. And they're just like, cool, can you show us where it is? He goes, yeah, but not this scene, next scene. So the lone Cyberman goes into the areas and discovers all the other Cybermen. And then he starts torturing them. Like I said, I don't know if he's ripping out their emotion inhibitors. I don't know. And that's some sort of ascension. I don't know. But that starts beginning. And then Yaz is just like, I'm so obnoxious. And then that's her done. So they all start waking up and they all start panicking because they're in the middle of a bloody Cyberman's troop ship with tens of thousands of Cybermen. And there's only 5 humans and they don't even have a ravioli between them. So Sebaristan takes her to the beach. He says, this is the area. If you just move a little bit forward, you'll see what I mean. And then this sort of like big portally blob thing opens. He's like, you pass through there. Then we get to the guy and he's grown up and he's old now. And he's at his retirement. And they say, hey, it's time for your retirement. And he's like, okay. And they give him a carriage clock and he leaves the police station where he's greeted by, his dad, who's still young, and the policeman who recruited him, who's still young. And they're just like, could we go and have a word with you at the back of the police station, please? So they drag him to the back of the police station and like, thank you for your service, but I'm afraid we're going to strap you to this machine and you're going to have to forget it all. And they put like headphones on it, which kind of looks Cybermen, you know. When you got these headphones on it kind of looks like the cyber thing. So I think this person could be the lone Cyberman, ultimately. Then all the cyber chambers open up. Tens of thousands of Cybermen come out. The Doctor talks to Yaz, and Yaz is just like... And then the Cybermen can't get through a door, even though if they just push the fucking button, like everyone else does, they get through, but never mind. And then... the portal dissipates, and what is at the other side of the portal? It's Gallifrey, and it's destroyed Gallifrey. And then the Master pops through and goes, hello! Would you like a cliffhanger? And Doctor Who's like, wah. And so there's a cliffhanger. And, you know, see you next time. So is all in all, once they got over that rocky start, and the rocky start was basically because it had the Doctor and the companions in, and any time the Doctor and the companions were doing something, it was pulling the episode down. And every time they weren't, it was elevating the episode, particularly when the lone Cyberman was on. This was a pretty fun episode. It was a fun episode to watch, and I think the best episode of the season so far. Now, whereas Spyfall could not land, the first part was okay, the second part was atrocious. How's Chibs going to deal with the second part of this? We'll find out in 7 days. So Doctor woke, did the impossible. This was actually a decent episode this week, good episode this week. Something tells me that's Chibs' one. That's Chibs' one for the season, and that's it. I got a feeling that next week's going to fall off a cliff. But we'll see. We'll see. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.